This is the place of a father, and my name is Nemi Bassey Ekefre. How are you doing? I trust that you've had a good week. I trust that you're having a good day. Irrespective of where you are, irrespective of what you're doing, you've come in contact with a father. I know this because you were not born out of nothing. You have a father, and if you're a man, you intend to be a father if you're not yet a father, or you are a father already. If you're a woman, you're going to get married to a man, and you hope to become a mother, which means you have a husband that will be a father. If you are, tell me you were not born by a man, nobody. So this is a program for you. It's a platform where we teach on fatherhood, the principles of fatherhood, and preparing many to become good fathers. It's nothing new in our society. When you are asked your name and you say your name is Chioma, the next question will be, what is your surname? It doesn't matter your age. Until you get to a stage in life where you have accomplished so much, so much, that your name becomes a name on its own. But until then, you are usually asked your surname, which means they want to know where you're from, who your father is, what your father represents. That simply means an identity. And so I have a guest in the house today. We'll be looking at the importance of giving your family an identity. The identity is the name and the person that you are as the father. We've heard many people say they became fathers by accident. But we're going to do all we can through this program to let you know the importance of preparations before getting into fatherhood. Because I know that whatever you prepare for, you're ready for it and you achieve more. So imagine that you have taken years before becoming a father to prepare for fatherhood, which means you have looked at your lifestyle and you have dropped some characters that are not helping, and you have picked up characters that are helpful, and you have begun to live a life that will give your family a good identity. Wouldn't that be great? It will. But just in case you were not there, it's okay. I trust that you will learn something today. I trust that you will know something better today. The guest in the house that we have today is Dr. Francis Ekom, the GM, Tinapa Free Zone and Resorts. It is a pleasure to have you in the house today. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And viewers, you're welcome too. Thanks for having me.
All right, so what we're talking about today is giving your family an identity. So important. And like I said in my intro, what is your name? My name is John. What's your surname? They want to always know what the surname is. From the beginning, we know that God created the heavens and the earth, right? And because God created the heavens and the earth, he had to take time to build his reputation, to build himself. So today, everybody wants to be called a child of God. Everybody wants to be called a child of God. I don't know who does not want to be known as a child of God. Why are we all struggling to be called children of God? Because he's such a good father. He has such a good name. He has such a great reputation. He's known by so many good attributes. Now, the man is the God of his family, or in his family, meaning that wherever his children go, the children want to be proud to say, that is my father. But in a situation where the father doesn't even know that matters and begins to live a reckless life, he was a rough man, a rough young man when he was growing up. Everybody was rough. But I think at some stage in life where you now say, okay, I want to become a father, there are certain things that we should drop. You should no longer become what's the name now? The lion.
Yes.
Of the environment.
The one who lives
lives only for himself.
The one who lives only for himself. What do you think? What can a man do? What can a father do today if he is not yet a good identity? What can he do to build up that reputation?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are incidentally in the information age, and a lot of the actions and decisions that people take, the stereotypes they form is based on the information they have. Now, you know, years ago, it was okay for people to, because you know, we had not yet had the explosion we are seeing today in the information technology, you know, space. So even when you were a good person, as it were, you were known probably within your community or maybe the surrounding villages. But today, even things, you know, that you did in private can be made available to people across the globe. So it's even more important now than ever before in the history of mankind, you know, for people to be careful. And I keep saying this, that life is not a rehearsal. As soon as you're born, you start painting the picture of your life. And you do not have the privilege as a human being to interpret your own portrait. You know, yes, you can, you know, you'll be allowed to paint it as you like, I mean, but then society, you know, will interpret it. They are the ones that will say, okay, you are this way or that way. Regardless of what you say of yourself, society will ascribe what they know or what they believe to be true of you to you. And it's important for us to start from day one to create the kind of legacies we would like to be remembered by. And there are ways of going about that. And it starts from very early in life. Yes, people will, you know, they may forgive, you know, the age of the era or the period of infancy and all that. But as you grow up, you will be held accountable. Yes.
So what can one do when you get to the age of accountability?
Accountability. It is to ensure that your choices are such that you can defend in 10 years' time. That's what guides me. I tell people that know me, you know, they want to know why why people think I'm reliable, why people think a certain way about me. I said, whatever decisions I cannot defend in 10 years' time, I will not take it
Not
now.
even 5 years.
That way, I don't even bother myself. Wow. I've had, you know, so I've had situations where I'd come across people for just maybe once or twice, and I've had them recommend me, you know, to handle tasks that I should ordinarily not handle and all that. So all that is based on choices. I knew early in life that I cannot just act the way I feel. The way I feel is not adequate, is not reason enough for me to now act. Okay, because I'm angry and then I now lash out at everybody. No. Even the president of this country does not have that privilege. You know, he comes on air, you know, as a public figure, you need to just conform to the norms and all that, the expectations. The same way with the individual. So, you know, how to create that identity is through your choices. Your choices determine your conduct, and then your conduct paint the picture of your life.
Choices that you can defend in the next 10 years. That's a strong one. That's a strong standard. Now, was there any influence in your life that led you to that point? Or was it just you coming to realization at some point in life to say, I have to be like this? Or was there an example that you saw? Was there an influence anywhere?
Well, in retrospect, I would say yes, but at the time when this was evolving, I did not know. I knew that my dad, that incidentally was a teacher, will wake us up very early in the morning, regardless of how busy the previous day had been, and will get upset. He will usually have his own siesta. We may not, and yet will still wake us up and all that. And his sermons every morning were at times skewed in favor of him and my mom. But I didn't know that we were, bits of wisdom were trickling in. And when I now left for school outside Cross River State for secondary school, I realized that people started seeing me differently. As a student, I'm not even the senior prefect of the school. I was selected to be part of the school's board where the principal and some key people sit. I was one out of 2 students that were selected. Now, and I found that, wherever I went to, people kind of singled me out for favor. Even when I got into trouble and all that, before I get to the scene, people would have spoken on my behalf because they knew that, oh, Francis, no. Even if Francis did it, it must have been a mistake. So looking back now, and I think what the values I hold today may have come largely from that. And I noticed that my dad, had always been the reference person in my community when it comes to accountability, keeping community financial records and all that. And as a child, he told me, say, the worst thing you can do is to touch community funds. Wow. Any money that is meant for the public should be seen as sacrosanct. And if people should understand that, they will not say embezzle money because it's meant for the public. If you take it, you take also all the negatives that those people were supposed to probably go through, so you take that upon you, and at times the benefit of using that money may not equate to all the troubles that will come. Little things like that. It may not have a basis of in logic, but then all that shaped me.
So you him say these things. Yes. You saw him live this life. How important is it for a father to always drop words of wisdom? How important is it, in your opinion, of a father to live the life, irrespective of his status as a wealthy man or a poor man or whatever? A father is a father.
Yes.
It's not by how much you have or don't have.
You're correct. So
how important do you think it is for today where fathers are so busy, everybody's out there, how important is it? What do you think?
How important is it to live the life? Now, the age we are in right now is such that living the life as a father is no longer adequate. You must not just live the life, you must speak the right words. Because your children, are listening to other sources of information. My 6-year-old children, just wake up in the morning and they are all diving for the iPad and all that. They are getting information from different places. We need to even sieve through all that. And bring up topics for discussion and say, okay, what do you think about this and all that? Listen in on their conversation when they play and all that. So, yes, it's important to live the life, but it's also important to speak the right words to the hearing of your children and then to them as well. I believe if parents recognize the fact that they have influence beyond what they can see in the physical over their children, virtually all the children we have will be successful. The right words. Years ago, my dad, sorry, let me use my personal experience. My dad, was complaining to me regarding well, his thought at the time regarding the marriage of one of his children. I should put it that way. And I told him, I said, Dad, I think you will need to take that blame. You did not design, you did not determine, you did not speak into the marriages of your children way ahead of time. You should get to a point where you sit down and decide how you want your children to pan out, and then start speaking it. That way, when they get to the age of having relationships and all that, you will be at peace because you know you've determined the outcome already. Years ahead. You know, you have, determined what kind of life they would have, whether they will struggle, whether they will have it easy, whether they will come across the right individuals, whether they will somehow be spared from meeting violent people, evil people. You would have determined all that.
By the words you speak, by the kind of teachings you give, by the training and all of that. Wow, we will be right back. I'm sure that you've heard some good things and you're willing to apply them, because just listening isn't enough, but you have to be able to do some of those things. Just after the break, we will continue on the place of a father. Welcome. This is the place of a father. Before we went on break, I was talking with Dr. Francis Ekom on the importance of, being your family's identity as a father. And he dropped a very strong point that I'm trusting that someone will use today. Making choices. As a father, it's very important the kind of choices that you make. Because every choice that you make, there is a consequence. And this consequence may not show up in your lifetime. It may show up after you've gone, and your children might suffer for it. So it's important that you take good choices that can outlive you and help your children stand in places that probably you couldn't help them stand. So what choices are you making today? What choice will you make today? Fathers, you need to learn to make good choices. It's important. You need to learn to make good choices that you can, that you can defer in the next 10 years. That's important. So we're back, and my guest is still in the house. And Dr. Francis, I'd like to ask, is there any other thing you can guide our fathers with to understand that they are the ambassadors of their family? They go before their children. The children most times will still walk under their shadow until a certain age. The children's achievements are judged by their father's earlier achievements or failures. So what can a father do today? A father that had never heard this before, to say it's important to live a good life, or it's important to live a life worthy of whatever. So as an ambassador of the family, what can you ask a father to do today?
Okay, thank you for that question. I think there's a reason why children bear their father's names. Because I think somehow society knows that they will need it. They will need it to open doors. They will need it to get for themselves an identity that they can use until they now create theirs if they so wish. And people will usually move from the known to the unknown. Yes, sir. The child may probably be young and may not have, created his own legacies and all that. So they will start from what they know. That is the parents, the father especially. And they will ascribe whatever impression they have of their father to them. And so if you've created an image that makes people interpret you as being very aggressive, inconsiderate, wicked, troublesome, they will just assume without asking, without bothering to, you know, do any investigation, that your children will be a replica of you. So I think it's important to be selective in the kind of battles that we get into. Some are unnecessary. You know, there are families today, as I speak, that are not the best of friends, even when they probably do not know why they even started fighting in the first place. It may have happened in the past and all that, and they have carried it on. So you have parents who create many problems, you know, conflicts, and then hope to bequeath this intact to their children. So, you know, as they're handing over assets, they also hand over problems, wars that you must continue to fight and hand over to your children. And at the end of the day, you know, as a Christian, I think this may not be one of the things that God will ask you to, you know, account for. Many of the things we fight over and destroy relationships for, burn bridges for, are unnecessary, totally unnecessary. I told someone, I said, if we constantly bear in mind that none of the things that we hurt others for will go with us to the grave, I think we'll moderate ourselves. We'll be less antagonistic. We will be less greedy, yes, and all that. That will be unnecessary. So back to your question. Your children bear your name for a reason. And it is not about you alone. It is about creating an image. Now, regardless of and believe you me, everybody has their own, should I say, drawbacks or things they are not too proud of. You know, character flaws that they are working on and all that. Yet these people are appointed ambassadors. They go to other countries and all that. But they are able to conduct themselves in a way that projects their strong points, in a way that conceals their weaknesses, in a way that promotes and enhances the reputation and the image of the countries they represent. The same way for parents, especially fathers. You know, you must constantly ensure that you do not unnecessarily create conflict with people. You do not burn bridges. You let go at times. You know, there are some arguments you may not even participate in, rather, or even win, because there may be no trophies. You know, so relationships, creating relationships today, network, now translates to money. It's currency. Your net worth, your network, you know, can determine your net worth. You know, so one of the currencies that you can bequeath, or legacies you can bequeath to your children, is the relationship, the harmonious and cordial relationship you have been able to build with different publics within the society. And this should guide us. This should guide us. There's no reason why, you know, we should not try to be at peace with all men. No reason whatsoever. If you do not have a reason for your own self, at least for your children.
For your children.
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever come in contact personally, or maybe not personal, but you've heard or seen someone that had to change his name because of the lifestyle of his father? Personally, or you have read, or you have, because I've seen it happen.
Okay.
And I was surprised at the reason that was given. And the person said, my father is a violent man. I don't want to be known as that violent man's son. So the person changed his name completely. If he doesn't tell you who his father is, you would never trace him to that man. And that's because the identity became heavy.
For him to carry.
For him to carry. It became a burden. It became a door closing agent instead of an opener. So wherever he went to, you're his child, oh, please come back tomorrow or next week. Because like you said, they would start from the known to the unknown. And they felt if that man is violent, then his son is going to be violent within this space as well. So it affected the young man to the point where he had to change his name. This is why we keep saying what we're saying. I have not seen a child bear Chioma, the mother's name is Ngozi, Chioma Ngozi, and the father's name is Okafor. I haven't yet seen one, Chioma Ngozi Okafor, where you bear the mother's name.
Yeah, maybe
as the surname.
Circumstances at birth and all
that will be wonderful. But most of the cases I have seen is that the child is bearing the father's name. You know, so I know that there are fathers out there that have made mistakes, not intentional. At the time where they were taking these decisions and making these choices, for them, that was the only option they had. So they had to do what they could do. They had to fight the fights. They had to be the lion in their tribe. They had to just be that person. How can they salvage their reputation today, for that child's sake?
Okay.
What can they do?
Okay. Now, I've not come across someone who changed his surname because of, you know, the character of his father or her father. But I've heard people change names for other reasons, maybe, you know, spiritual and all that, you know. But it does happen. Just 2 days ago, I was reading about some people, a lady and her daughter that have been in hiding after they lost, you know, she lost her husband and the child lost her father. I mean, they lost their father, kind of. Their father was a wanted man, had hurt so many people, had killed. And as soon as they lost him, they went into hiding. Their lives have kind of ended. Yeah. You know, in this age and time, you can imagine someone living in hiding. What can be worse than that? And that was just because of the actions, the choices that their father made while he was alive. However, I also read recently, came across, I was reading about one of the Liberian warlords who was attributed to have done so many unspeakable things. But this guy, after the war, you know, gave his life to Christ and all that, and went back to the families of people he hurt, went from one household to the other, apologizing and seeking their forgiveness. He's all over the country in Liberia, and you know, he's a free person because people can see the sincerity and all that. That is someone that is rewriting his story while he's alive. So it's possible. But we must not take it for granted that, okay, we must live our lives. It's all about us and all. It's not about us. You know, we are here for a purpose. And being a father goes beyond playing your role, you know, the biological aspect, okay, you know, getting someone pregnant and having her give birth and all that. It doesn't at all. It goes far beyond that. It goes far beyond that. And guess what? For people who think, okay, as far as I make provision for the child's feeding, that's okay. God can take care of every child dropped in this earth. You're just a custodian, and it's not.
That's what I always say.
You know,
that it
what
shouldn't be about the provision.
Yes, we hear about the Almajiris. Don't they survive?
Be about
One very prominent Nigerian recently disclosed that he was an Almajiri, which means he grew up in the streets and all that. You know, there are some street boys in Calabar right now that will become people of great repute. So God takes care of them.
Everyone.
So everyone he has sent to this world, he has given a purpose. And if, with or without your help as a father, they will survive. So it's optional.
So it's even Wow, it's even a source of honor for you.
Yes, I mean,
to
if
play
you don't
your
do
role
it,
properly,
he will feed
so
them,
that
he
you
will
are
groom
honored
them.
as a father.
So
Because whether you do it or
your
not,
real role
they
is
will.
to go beyond that to
This
contribute to the
is
child's
good.
emotional and psychological development.
That's right. Made mistakes, that's not the end of life. As soon as you get to a place where you realize what I was doing, what I am doing isn't okay, you can rewrite your story. You can start by forgiving yourself. You can begin by asking God to forgive you. Then you can speak with your loved ones and say, I am sorry. I didn't know what I was doing was this wrong. Like I thought it was just about me. I could just do what I wanted to do. I had to do what I had to do. But now I realize that it's affecting you. That as your father, doors are being shut against you because of my decisions. Doors are being shut against you because of my lifestyle. Your lifestyle will either hinder a child or help a child go far. Fathers, you have a role to play, far beyond giving bread and butter. Far, far, far beyond giving bread and butter. What will your choices be today? You are the identity of that family. They are known by your name. Whatever it takes, you can, if you will put your heart to it. I know that you can. God knows that you can. We all believe that you can. Just begin to do it right from now. From now. Look at yourself and say, irrespective of what my father did, what my mother did, I am a better person. I know better. So what we say on this program is, fathers, know your place, take your place. Because many of us don't know our place, so we don't know what to do. But I'm glad that we've heard a lot today from Dr. Francis Ekom, and I trust that you will put what you have heard to use. Thank you very much. Well, before we go, you know we have a tradition in the house. Dr. Francis will have a tradition in the house.
I didn't know about that.
We have what we call a white box here. And you just pick a sheet of paper and read out what is there. And then I will let you know what you're supposed to do.
Okay.
Don't worry, you're safe.
Okay.
All right, so let's
open
see.
it.
Yes, please.
Okay. Leave matter for Matthias and Sabi for Sabinus. Sabinus.
All right, so this is a pidgin proverb.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a pidgin proverb. Can you help us with the translation? Like, you know, what do you think? You know what proverbs are in our society?
Yes.
So
leave matter for Matthias and Sabi for Sabinus.
So what do you
I think this basically, you know, tells us to mind our business. There's too much in our lives to focus on. Don't bother with other people's evolution. We're all going through, we're in a state of flux and everybody is growing at their own pace and all that.
Okay.
And we have different destinations.
Okay, so Dr. Francis says, no, you can have it. That's yours.
Thank you.
Go home with it. Dr. Francis says, leave matter for Matthias and Sabi for Sabinus. Means that we should all mind our businesses and all of that. If you think he's right, then let us know through our social media platforms. And if you think he didn't get it right, let us know what you think the answer is, and we'll get back to him and tell him that some persons think you're right and some persons think, but you know, whatever it is, let's make this... let's continue with the program even after now. Let's know what you think. Let's have your comments, and please apply what you have learned. And if you're not a father watching this, stay tuned and get more fathers. Tell them there's a platform that they need to watch. This again is the place of a father. My name is Nemi Bassey Ekefre. God bless you.